So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our LinkedIn Learning Summer Kickoff, especially since the spring semester just ended. We really want to give you the tools to start learning this summer. So before we get started and before I introduce our speaker, I do want to talk about the LinkedIn Learning resources that we have here on the C.A.L website. I'll put this link in the chat box for you right now. And this will be updated shortly, but as you can see, this will talk about how to activate your account. Getting started with LinkedIn Learning, we do have a webinar recording and we'll put this one there as well. And Rebekah Allred is our customer success manager with LinkedIn Learning Solutions. If you are a faculty or staff member utilizing LinkedIn Learning, you can schedule a consultation with her. So once you click right there, you'll see her calendar. You are able to schedule a 30-minute session with her, and she'll really give you those great tips for getting started with LinkedIn Learning. Or if you want to integrate any course content or content in your course, she can help you steer it in the right direction. If you are a student watching this webinar or joining us live, you can email the C.A.L team. Right here's our email, calhelpdesk@udc.edu. We'll also give you some resources to get started right there. And with that, I do want to introduce Rebekah Allred, our customer success manager. And Rebekah, you have the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the introduction. And thanks everyone for joining today. I'm very, very excited to be getting this conversation going and expanding your knowledge of and access to LinkedIn Learning. I'm going to share my screen here in just a minute. Before I do that, I would love to know, and if you wouldn't mind just putting this in the chat, I'd love to know if you are a student of UDC or if you are staff or faculty of UDC. That would be really helpful for me as we think about where we go and how we best utilize our time today. So I'll give you all a second to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to get my screen share going. Okay, I see a couple of faculty, staff. Excellent. Okay, great. Well, thank you again for, let's see. Also very interested in what we can provide students in terms of these resources. I love that. Amanda, thank you for calling that out. That is definitely something that we will talk about today. And I will call out here that we have a relatively small group, which is really nice in that we can have a conversation here today. So I will be sharing my screen. We will talk about best practices, kind of give you some context for what LinkedIn Learning is, how you can utilize it. I'll do a demo today so you can see what it looks like when you have logged in to LinkedIn Learning and how you can navigate it, some of the tools and resources that we have available for you. But I will say, if you have questions, please make use of the chat or feel free to, raise your hand via the Zoom and unmute yourself. I will do my best to monitor that. But if you have a question, I really want to make sure that we are getting you what you need to get started. And with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about our plan today. I kind of hit on it briefly, but high level, I'd like to introduce you to LinkedIn. Why does LinkedIn play a part in LinkedIn Learning, right? So LinkedIn Learning as a platform is something that you have available to you because of UDC's investment. LinkedIn powers a lot of that, and the data that we have powers a lot of that. So we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn and how that kind of helps support an impactful LinkedIn Learning platform. David just mentioned how you can access LinkedIn Learning. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the resources you have there and navigation. So how do you get in? How do you navigate LinkedIn Learning? How do you utilize it to the best of its abilities or kind of its full capacity? We'll also talk about how you can use it to support your personal and professional development. I typically build in time for Q&A, but as I mentioned, if you have questions, put them in the chat. That sounds great. Now, I'm going to dive in here in just a second to LinkedIn Learning, to the introduction to LinkedIn. For context, has anyone here already logged in and activated their license with LinkedIn Learning? You can throw it in the chat. You can raise your hand on Zoom. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, I see a couple have. Yes. Okay, great. Oh, this is a good starting point. I love to see this. If you haven't already, David just mentioned and sent the link for how you can access that, how you can activate your license. But I'm happy to see that you have that a number of you already have done that. Part of the reason is because that'll just help us give some context, and you can jump in and immediately apply what we're talking about today. But let's start by talking a little bit about LinkedIn. Now, what we have found at LinkedIn is through our LinkedIn platform. So a little bit more about the LinkedIn platform is where you log in, where you can have a personal profile, where you can facilitate building a network. What we have learned from that is that the skills necessary to be successful are shifting really rapidly. Our research shows that the half-life of skills is about 5 years. So there's quite a bit of turnover. And so the ability to continue developing your skills is going to be really important as you as faculty and staff, as well as for students, so as well as preparing your students. It's going to be really important to continually develop your own skills. Higher ed, of course, is no exception to this. So LinkedIn is able to identify, given that platform that we have, workplace trends, changing and evolving skills, just because of the volume and vast amount of data that we see. Now, we track this through what we call the economic graph. This is kind of a digital representation of the data that we have available through our LinkedIn platform. And you can see here that it's really robust in terms of the members that we have, companies and schools that we have represented on LinkedIn. And we utilize this to power and guide the development of new courses and skills on LinkedIn Learning. Now, LinkedIn Learning, of course, is, as you have all seen, because you have activated, or many of you have activated your license, is an online skill building platform. So we have a vast library, over 18,000 courses, and we add about 60 a week. So it's really, really robust in terms of new and up-to-date content in both a video and course format. So kind of small scale, where we can see a video in as little as 5 minutes or a few minutes. And then as we're thinking more about developing larger kind of expertise, we have full courses and learning pathways that allow you to dive in a little bit more deep into a particular topic or content. In addition, we have learning certificates. So we have individual certificates of completion. One of the things we'll call out today is there's also some new certifications that are available through LinkedIn Learning. So there's a really vast amount of resources and data that you'll see here. Now, one thing I'd like to call out, and a number of you have already activated, so this is awesome. There's two things that I'll kind of call out as pro tips. If you haven't utilized this already, I definitely recommend downloading the mobile app. This is one of the ways that I see, especially busy people, faculty and staff. I know you have a lot on your plate. If you're ever thinking about how you utilize your time or how you find ways to engage with learning in kind of a more flexible way, the mobile app is a really great way to do so, because it allows you to listen on the go or watch on the go. So I frequently will download a course, which means it's available offline, away from Wi-Fi, and go on a walk, and I'll listen to the content. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility as I'm thinking about my own learning. Now, I will also call out, and this is especially going to be geared towards faculty, is that there is an integration set up with Blackboard, which means that you can seamlessly bring in LinkedIn Learning to your Blackboard courses. Yes, and yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, great feature. The audio only when learning. Yes, so you can kind of treat on the mobile app, you can treat some of these courses as like a podcast and utilize the audio only feature. Great call out. Okay, taking a step back, the Blackboard integration. So this is a relatively new option that we have, but it makes it so easy to bring LinkedIn Learning content into the course shell of your Blackboard course. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can think about this. We will definitely touch on how you can utilize it. If you are needing some help, we have some resources available for you. We have a video guide that I can share with you that shows you high level how to do it. And David, I believe if we're needing something where we want to show the UDC video or the UDC environment of Blackboard and how to do that, that's something that they can connect with you about. Is that right? Okay,
Yeah, that is
perfect.
correct. So if you do have any questions about this process of integrating LinkedIn Learning content to your Blackboard course, you can also email us and I'll put that in the chat box as well. Thank you, Rebecca.
Perfect. Okay, great. So what we'll be focusing on in our call today is navigating the LinkedIn Learning environment. That's in large part because I don't have access to your UDC Blackboard environment, but it also is because even outside of bringing it into the Blackboard experience or into a course, there's a lot of use cases here. So especially as you're thinking about the summer, how you use this time to engage with learning, it may not be immediately bringing it into a course, it may be. So there's a couple of use cases that we'll cover here. And high level, one thing I did want to call out, for those of you who have already activated your license, you have gone through the process of connecting your LinkedIn profile to your LinkedIn Learning experience. If you have not activated, this is something that you will see as part of the activation process, is the ability to connect your LinkedIn profile to your LinkedIn Learning license. Now, there's a couple of benefits here that are helpful to understand. When you complete a LinkedIn Learning course, as I mentioned, you get a certificate of completion. If those two things are connected, your LinkedIn Learning profile to your LinkedIn Learning account to your LinkedIn profile, you can easily add that certificate of completion to your LinkedIn profile and the associated skills that you've developed through through watching that course. So if I complete a course on time management, I can add that to my LinkedIn profile, and the skill of time management will be added to that as well. So that's one benefit. It also enables some of our social learning opportunities or social learning features, which I'll show you here in just a second, but things like participating in a learning group, having a community of learners who are consuming the same content and continuing to develop that skill. There's some really great opportunities there as well. So I know I have covered a lot of things kind of as some context, as an introduction. In just a moment, I'm going to move to a LinkedIn Learning demo environment, and we're going to talk about how you can navigate LinkedIn Learning, how you can find interesting or relevant coursework or relevant content for you. Before I do that, I'm just going to pause for questions. Are there any questions so far about kind of the foundational side of LinkedIn Learning? Okay, not now from Amanda. Thank you for weighing in. All right, if there are, feel free to put those into the chat or call it out.
I would like to ask a quick question.
Yes.
So Rebecca, I love LinkedIn Learning content. So how often does LinkedIn Learning content get updated, or how often is new content put on this platform?
That is a really great question. So there is a regular audit process where we evaluate whether content is still current or needs to be updated. One of the things that we'll see here, and I'll show it here in just a second. Actually, I'll pull this up here so we can see it in action, and then I'll come back here and we'll talk a little bit about how we navigate all this. But when we're looking at any of our courses within LinkedIn Learning, you're going to see when it was last updated. So for example, Data Skills Survival Kit was updated a week ago. Some of them you're going to see a little bit longer, right? And that generally represents that there haven't been any material updates that would impact the accuracy of that particular course. So it's a really great question, David, and thank you for bringing that up. In addition to that, I mentioned that we have on average about 60 new courses a week that are added. So our content team stays really up to date with kind of evolving trends. I mean, one that we hear a lot of right now is generative AI. There's lots of demand for that. We have a lot of new courses coming out about that because there's a lot of interest in developing that as a skill set and kind of responding to the moment that we find ourselves in. So we're definitely taking kind of a strategic approach as we think about what content is added, but you will see a high volume of content added each week. If you would like to be up to date on that, we publish that on our LinkedIn Learning blog. So if you want kind of an update that says, here are our new skills this week, here are our new courses, you can have access to that. And that's something, if you're interested, that I can share with you.
Yeah, and something that I do like about LinkedIn Learning is that it is constantly updated, and also the recommendations that it sends to me personally are really spot on, of things that I want to learn or may be interested in. There's this influencer that I follow named Jefferson Fisher. So he had a great course about how to win arguments and influence like a lawyer. So there are great tips in there. It was less than 35 minutes. I was able to listen to it to and from work, but some great like highlights and objectives that I learned from
Mhm.
that LinkedIn Learning course.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's such a it's such a great call out for kind of the scope of what you can learn, right? And I would think about this, we have some faculty on, you can think about this for students and for yourself. So if you're taking a step back and saying, what are helpful skills that may not necessarily be directly tied to learner outcomes, but can help your learners, help your students better achieve or give them a foundation for success. I mean, maybe uh, persuasive writing or building an argument. These are some foundational things that might contribute to student learner success, but maybe are not core assignment type things. So I would think about a couple of different things as you're starting to explore the content that's available, thinking about it from how can this help supplement and support my coursework? Because this is something that UDC has already invested in. So therefore it's a free resource. There's no additional textbook cost or anything like that for your students. It's a great opportunity to utilize a free resource for them. In addition, what kind of skills might be helpful for them as they go through my class? So those are some of the use cases that I would consider, and that we see some success with our other academic institutions.
Definitely. And with, our incoming students, our freshmen and gen ed courses, I think anything about presentation skills, excellent. And there are so many great helpful videos on LinkedIn Learning about
Mhm.
presentation skills.
Presentation skills is a big one. I definitely see kind of foundational grammar
Mhm.
or persuasive writing as things that come in, or kind of building an argument, to your point. I also think some of the things that I hear a lot of, especially for incoming freshmen, might be things like time management, study skills, um, managing stress, uh, navigating change, some of the things that can just help students succeed as they're going through potentially a new process or a new experience.
Definitely. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes, good call out. Now I'm going to come back here to the homepage. This is the learner homepage, and I'm going to call out a few things here that are really helpful to understand. David mentioned that he gets really great personalized recommendations. The more you learn as you continue to learn and kind of express interest in particular skills or complete coursework, LinkedIn Learning is going to better be able to recommend courses that meet your needs. So again, customizing it, personalizing it, making it as easy as possible for you to find content that's helpful for you and that helps you achieve your goals. So the learner homepage is a great place to start. At the very top, you're going to see some recommended courses. So this is going to be based on new or trending or popular courses, right? So one of the things we see here, communication skills for modern management, that's a new course. Nano tips to boost productivity. There's a lot of new nano tips. So especially as you're thinking about reaching kind of a Gen Z audience, the nano tip series is going to be really helpful. These are all short form, more like TikTok length videos. So a minute to 2 minutes usually. And they're going to be really targeted and focused. Psychological safety. So you're going to see here kind of a rotating campaign or a rotating banner of recommended courses. Usually these are new or featured or popular. As you scroll down, you'll see top picks for you. And again, this is going to be customized based on your learning history and your skills of interest that you've indicated when you set up your account. It's also going to show you skills related to recent searches. So I search a lot of things here to find recommended courses for my customers. I'll see things that are related to those topics or skill sets, and then I can filter it down as well. So it's really about making it as easy as possible for you to find what's helpful for you and what's relevant for you. Now, one of the other things I love is that you can come down here and see our new releases. So if you're not necessarily following the blog, but you want to keep up with what's new, this is a great resource. So I definitely recommend starting here and just taking a look, seeing what you find. In addition to that, if you have a clear sense of what you're looking for, the search option is a really great way to go. So David, you mentioned making arguments like a lawyer.
Yeah, so that one is called Tips for Influencing. Yeah, that one. That was the first one that showed up.
Okay, I was just going to put in arguments and see what happens.
Yeah, so it's that first video. That's part of the course. Argument pitfalls.
Argument pitfalls.
Yep.
Okay,
And
love
it's a
it.
great course.
So what we find here is one video in a course, and the course is Tips to Win Arguments and Influence Like a Lawyer. Cool. Okay, so if you have a sense of what you're looking for, this is a great place to start. If you have even a high level idea of what you're looking for, this is a great place to start, and you can see kind of these the results, or kind of targeted down to a particular course or a particular video. Each of our courses is going to be kind of structured by chapters. So you'll see here we have chapter 1, framing the argument, and then short videos with targeted content and a targeted topic to help support that, and then navigating through. So if you have one particular video that's really helpful, you can kind of bring it down to the very core of the topic, rather than saying, I need to watch the whole course, especially as you are busy and you're wanting to maybe bring in immediately relevant content. So learning in the course of your work, saying, hey, I really need to think about how I persuasively frame this argument or this request or whatever it is, right? You can bring it in and say, this particular topic is what I need, and it's 2.5 minutes long. So I want you to think about that. One of the things that I hear a lot is that because you're busy, it's hard to find a chunk of time to learn. I totally get that. I feel the same sometimes. So I think reframing a little bit and thinking about bringing this in the time that you have, and learning as you have available time is a really great way to go. So think about utilizing the video level. Now, I'm going to come back up here to the search bar. I'm going to talk about, or search for, persuasion and influence skills. So it's a little bit broader. But when I do that, I'm going to get a list of recommended courses or relevant courses. I can continue to refine these based on, for example, how long they take to complete. If I'm looking for something really targeted and short, I can say I want something that takes between 10 and 30 minutes. That's going to filter out a number of these. I can also search by or filter by the level. Do I want beginner level content, intermediate, or advanced? I can also come over here and search by best match, view count, or what's newest. So if we're really wanting to see something that has been updated most recently, this one was updated 2 months ago, how to speak with effortless confidence, how to make your voice heard. So lots of options for finding what you're looking for. Now, in addition, if you're looking to browse a little bit and see what is available, here on the left-hand side, you'll see our 3 different libraries. The first is the business library. Under the business library, we have role guides. So this is going to kind of package content based on what skill or role you're looking to move towards. So this will be really helpful, I think, especially for students. If they're saying, hey, I'm really interested in marketing. If you want to be a marketing manager, where do you start? What do you learn? What skills are important? And these role guides kind of help walk you through where to get started or how to get started with kind of a goal in mind. It'll outline some top courses, top skills, recommended learning paths. Again, that's going to be for really in-depth content, as well as communities that you can join. This is a social feature, so it's going to be dependent on having the LinkedIn profile connected, but then it enables you to connect with other learners of marketing. So that's one really beneficial skill that I would definitely recommend. As we continue to scroll down, this business topics section is where you'll be able to really easily browse different topics and the content associated with them. So again, if you're looking to explore and you're thinking, I know that I would like to highlight personal branding. I'd like to learn about it, or I'd like to bring it into the conversation with my students. Personal branding will filter for you, narrow down your results based on kind of that top skill set. And then you can specify even further, as we mentioned, using the filters and the information that you see here to find what you're looking for. Okay, I'm going to pause there. What questions do we have? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So if anyone has any questions and you want to raise your hand or take yourself off mute, you are welcome to. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. I will move on then, and I did a little bit of a teaser earlier around certifications. I'm really excited about this because certifications, in addition to the certificate of completion when you complete a course, which is really beneficial and great, we are incorporating in new elements to promote actual kind of verified certifications from partner organizations that are included free within LinkedIn Learning. So under our certification section here on the left-hand side, there's a section for professional certificates. This means that the coursework, the exam, and the certificate itself, or the certification itself, are all housed within LinkedIn Learning and available at no additional cost. This is a relatively new offering, and we are continuing to expand it. But this is a really helpful path for students. I will say for anyone, but students specifically, if you're looking for some kind of core foundational technical skills. You'll see some of our tech partners here: Twilio, Zendesk. There's also a number of Microsoft and LinkedIn partnership certifications around things like data analysis, administrative assistance, project management. So again, with each of these, we're going to see coursework, exam, and certification free within LinkedIn Learning. Now, if I go back here to that certifications page, there's also certification prep. So for anything that any certifications that don't currently live within LinkedIn Learning, we do also have a number of preparation courses that help you prepare for a certificate or certification kind of test that happens outside of LinkedIn. And we have some continuing education credits. Okay. We have really, we've covered a lot here. I'm going to pause. Based on the things that you've seen so far, I'd love to hear either in the chat, or if you'd like to raise your hand and come off mute, that's fine with me too. What stands out to you the most as something that you can immediately take and either apply to your own professional development or to kind of a curriculum support kind of experience?
Yeah, and I can get started. I think, for me, working with students, but if you're a faculty member or staff member working with students, if students are looking for a particular position and they see a job description that's looking for a specific skill set, LinkedIn Learning is a great way for them to get started and build up that foundation for those skills that these jobs are looking for. So I think, letting students know about this, they can just easily search, let's say it's something about Excel. That's a foundation they need to have for a job. They can look for these Excel courses on LinkedIn Learning.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
And I see Dr. Huron, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, thank you for doing this today. I think I've in the past taught a discovery technology class in our as part of our general education sequence, and I haven't taught the course in a while, but I could see some really specific applications using LinkedIn Learning to sort of supplement some of the skills that they're learning in that class. So a lot of that is around computing skills, and the way I've taught the class has specifically been around teaching them geographic information systems, so GIS, like digital mapping work. And that's one of the things that I've been looking at myself in terms of LinkedIn Learning is all the kind of short courses available that can enhance GIS knowledge. Because as you mentioned earlier, I mean, that's a field where things really are constantly changing. So yeah, that's something that I can see being useful both for myself, but also for students in that class to be able to, maybe it's even like for extra credit, they learn some specific part of the software through LinkedIn Learning. Or maybe it's connecting with a community of GIS learners and users outside of UDC who are, actively working with that software and learning from them through the LinkedIn Learning platform. So it's exciting to think about some ways that, that students could use it.
I love that. Thank you.
Oh, Pat, thank you, Pat. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, David and Rebecca? Thank you for putting this together. This is fantastic. And I especially like the David, you had brought up the fact that you listen to some of the audio in your car. I spend a lot of time in my car, so I downloaded the app. And I'm just looking at some of the offerings here, like 3 steps to organizing anything. Something real quick about sleeping at night. Just a lot of practical things that you can just learn and listen to real quick. How to warm up your voice. Things like that. Very interesting. Very quick. And again, just to kill time, it's a real quick, easy way to learn something very basic. So I'm definitely going to utilize that. Definitely going to have the app downloaded. I'm definitely going to start doing some LinkedIn Learning listening on my way to and from work.
That's amazing. And Pat, I love what you called out because there's a range of topics here. And some of them are a little bit maybe more on like personal development side. And so I think that one of the things that I think is really helpful to call out is, especially as you're thinking about over the summer, maybe you have a different approach. You have some additional time. Maybe you're thinking a little bit more about hobbies or passion projects or things like that. This can help supplement that too. I mean, you have access to this as on the go wherever you are. I recently took a course on French and some foundational French. That's kind of a new topic area that we're exploring adding more of from a language perspective. So I think I love that you called that out because there is a definite range. And as you're thinking about student use case, how do we prepare students for the workforce? How do we improve student learner outcomes? As faculty and staff yourself, how are you continuing to develop your skills? And as humans, how can you find some kind of personal satisfaction by developing skill sets here? I love that you called that out.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a society now where we want to learn things, but we want to learn it quick. The TikTok era, you can click on something and learn something new in a few seconds. So these short audio pieces really address that need.
I love that. I'm going to call this out because I think it makes sense to circle back on this. Quick learnings. I just like searching by the nano tips, and then you're going to see a ton of different results here. So if you're looking for something really targeted, really quick, you don't have a lot of time, and you say, hey, I want to focus on communication. If we look at all of these are about a minute or less, right? We know that you're busy. You have a lot going on. Check out the nano tips for students or for you. It's it's a great win-win for both.
Excellent. Thank you, Pat, for that great input. And I see Dr. Aslanwet. Go ahead.
Hello. I have not used the short tips or the mobile app. So those are things that I am certainly interested in exploring this summer. I can really see some use for guiding students to tutorials, especially if they're having problems in some of the content areas. Thank you.
Great call out. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aslanwet.
I was just going to say, I see a question. What is the range of programs available under the certificate? certificate program. So I'm going to come back here to certifications and just show you that right now, these are our current partners. We have a Microsoft partner, SS&C Blue Prism, Zendesk, Lambda Test, and Twilio. I know that this will be expanding soon as we continue to add partnerships here. But those are the primary partners that we have today. So some of them are very specific to particular technical skills. Some of them are a little bit broader, like project management. I hope that answers your question.
And Rebekah, I had a quick question about the office hours. What are those?
Oh, great question. Yes. Office hours are live events. So these are all hosted by LinkedIn Learning instructors. So each instructor is kind of verified, validated as experts in their field. And these office hours are live events that they offer where you can attend and kind of engage and interact in addition to courses. So the courses might be static, like they've created the courses, but they can continue to add current thought leadership based on current events or new skills, tips and tricks through a live event experience. So you'll see when I'm looking at this page, it defaults to upcoming events. There are a number of them today. You can also see past events as well. Great question.
Thank you.
Okay. I really appreciate all of your input and your thoughts and where we can kind of go from here. I would like to just call out one additional thing. And it is not showing in my demo environment. I'm going to move to my, I have multiple accounts, right? I have a demo environment. I'm actually going to go to my personal learner account because there's something additional that I'd love to show you all. One of the things that we've talked about is allowing LinkedIn to continually make recommendations that are really geared to and reflective of what you are interested in learning. So you can see this in my individual learner account, this banner that is showing. My career goal is to grow and advance as a customer success manager. Every learner has the ability to set their own personal career development goal. So that might be staying in the role that you're in and growing, pivoting to a new role or a new function, or developing kind of management skills and moving into a management role. So this workflow enables you to specify what your goal is and what the role is that you're looking to grow into or grow in. And then LinkedIn Learning will continually learn from that and provide recommendations that are geared towards helping you achieve your career goals. So this is kind of universally applicable. Obviously, I'm using it too to develop my own career skills. This is really helpful to promote to students because this can help LinkedIn Learning kind of learn what they need and help support their goals, as well as your own personal professional development. So I did want to call that out because once you have that set, you'll get recommendations that support your career goal. So I have these courses here recommended to me to support my personal career development goal. So something to think about here as well. Okay. Now I'm going to move over here back to our presentation. And we can talk a little bit more about how this can support your goals and how you can think about it as you're kind of contemplating learning over the summer and through this next year. So thinking about supporting your development. We've talked a little bit about these items, but there's a couple of things that I like to think about or use cases I like to think about for how LinkedIn Learning can help support your development. One of them is just-in-time learning. So that's really thinking about, here I am going through my day. I am looking at an Excel spreadsheet and I need to remember how to do a VLOOKUP, or I need to remember how to do a particular formula. Just in time, you can use the search bar, you can find the skill that you're looking for, you can learn what you need to learn, and then go about your day, complete your task. Again, what we're doing there is kind of thinking about where can this support the work you're already doing. Now, in addition to that, we've also talked a little bit about new skill development. So I'm excited to learn French, so I spent some time taking a LinkedIn Learning course on French. I might need to be developing my skills in terms of generative AI, understanding what that is. So in addition to that, we might spend a little bit more time diving into a new skill and developing a level of expertise. But one other area that I want to make sure we touch on is well-being. This is a little bit kind of on the personal development side, as well as the stress management, managing burnout, some of the well-being topics that I think are really top of mind right now, because so many people are navigating and have been navigating for so long uncertain environments and challenging environments. So I want to call that out as its own use case, because I do think that it is a really impactful one and a great resources that you have, that students have for navigating some of this, some navigating challenging times. Okay, I want to call this out, and I'm happy to share this with you as a follow-up or in the chat here in just a moment. I mentioned earlier that LinkedIn does a lot of research and has some really profound insights on kind of the state of the workforce in general and the workplace in general, due to the volume of data that we have and the scope of some of our research projects. We publish every year a workplace learning report, and I wanted to call out here the 2023 most in-demand skills list. This kind of a general list of skills that employers look for when they are hiring, posting jobs, interviewing, things like that. And all of these are really, really great use cases for, again, incorporating LinkedIn Learning. So this is something that if you're interested, you can do a little bit more of a deep dive on. But these are kind of the high level skills. We also have some breakdowns by industries. So if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about what these look like in different industries, we have some resources for you there. Now, I'm just going to check the time here. We have about 14 minutes left. I would love to hear, again, you can send this over in the chat if that's helpful for you. What are the most important skills for your students to develop? So especially as you're thinking, for those of you who are faculty, what are the kind of top skills that are top of mind for student development, or skills that you're really interested in learning either this summer or over the course of this next year for your own personal and professional development? Okay, students, communication, and research. Awesome. Both of those are on the list. I love it. What else? Okay, David, great call outs. Accessibility, inclusive design. I love that. There's definitely some some course recommendations that we have, that I have on accessibility, that I can share with you as well. Love that call out. Students need time management and communication skills. Yes, I hear that. This is really helpful. And one of the things that I think can be impactful here, and this is something that I can take as a follow-up on my end, is each of these kind of represent great opportunities for us to support student learning or personal professional development. I can take these that you've outlined here and do a content map. So we can make course recommendations to help supplement or to help support the development of these skills in a really easy way. So this is something that I can take on my end, build a content map. I can share it with David, and we can kind of disseminate that broadly for your use, or for use with students. Awesome. Okay, so we've talked a fair amount about kind of the variety of content, how you can utilize it. I just mentioned a content map. This is one thing that I will plug again. I know that at the very beginning, David highlighted the page that outlines and tells you how to get access to LinkedIn Learning, and it also has a link to booking time with me. So for each of you who are faculty and you're contemplating how you can bring this into your coursework, if you'd like to dive a little bit deeper into your particular use case, into your courses, where there might be a fit, what kind of student outcomes you're looking to achieve, this is something that you and I can chat through, and we can also work on what we call a custom content map. So understanding the competencies you're looking to develop for your students, and then having our team do the work of identifying what are the most relevant courses, kind of narrowing it down so you're not having to navigate through the entirety of the catalog, but can kind of be given a tailored content map to get started with. So I will put a plug for that. I'm very happy to speak with anyone who is interested in doing this. So something to keep in mind there. Now, I mentioned earlier wellness. I like to point these out because I think that it's a really helpful resource. Some people, especially during the summer, are wanting to take some time to kind of recover, manage their stress, manage their burnout. There are some really helpful tips here within LinkedIn Learning that I want to call out here around things like managing stress for change, improving your focus, time management, weekly tips, personal finances, if you're looking to develop some skills there. And then again, for your passion projects or hobbies, there is a wide range. So take a look, kind of do some exploring. There are some musical courses, piano and guitar. I think there's a ukulele course, some drawing, photography, video editing. There's quite a few. So definitely explore, take a look. One of the follow-up items that I will also send is a list of success stories. So these are other schools that we've partnered with that have found success in utilizing LinkedIn Learning. The ones that we have highlighted here are really geared towards preparing students, flipping the classroom, bringing in LinkedIn Learning to coursework. So I will share this with you if you're interested in learning more. And again, if you'd like to talk through how you can apply this, happy to do that as well. Okay. And that is everything that I have for today. Again, I'm happy to pause and answer questions. If there are any additional questions or comments, I will open up the floor.
Yeah, and Rebekah, as we wait for questions, I do want to thank you for this great webinar. I took notes throughout. I wanted to ask you, what are like 3 key takeaways you hope that the participants learned today from our session?
That's a great question. I think one glaring one that comes to mind is that learning can be accessible. I think in the course of our day, it can feel like another thing that we have to do. I have found personally a lot of growth and satisfaction from diving in and making it work for me. So I think that means bringing in the mobile app and, taking a walk, getting away from my desk, taking short videos here and there. So I'm having kind of breaking up my day and thinking about things differently. That's one that really stands out is this isn't another thing to do. This is a tool to support you. This is something that can help support you in your day-to-day already. And I would say in addition to that LinkedIn Learning is a partner to UDC. I hope that you all feel that and can kind of take that with you, because we want to make sure we are supporting your mission of supporting students, but also your own kind of personal professional development. And I think that leaning into that vision and into that mission is can have a really powerful effect. So I think those two things kind of top of mind.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things I do like about LinkedIn Learning is that it is quite fun. And there are a lot of fun topics, like you said, your passion projects, your hobbies. If you want to learn more about video editing, things like that, those are also fun things you can do in addition to your regular, role at the university, but you can also discover those passions that you have and build upon them.
Yeah. And I think, maybe another takeaway is as you are all thinking about your summer and what that looks like, even identifying one thing, here's, one thing that I can incorporate into my day or my week, or one thing I'd like to develop, because each of you have such a powerful kind of sphere of influence with your students and the peers that you work with. So I think when you are able to see the benefit here and can share that benefit with other people, again, kind of the trickle down effect, the impact that we can see on the LinkedIn learnings from LinkedIn Learning is really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, one thing I saw from you is in your signature, you have like a link of what you're learning. So that's also a nice way to get to know our colleagues, our students. That could be in our email signature, right? These are things that I'm learning now, and then you can click on that and see maybe things that you're also connected with or want to learn more about.
Yes, I love that. I'm happy to share. I'm going to share my screen one more time, so anyone who would like to get a sense of that can see it. But I like to share what I'm learning. It can be a really interesting conversation starter. So I have this. Here's what I've been learning this month, and this opens up a collection, which is a grouping of courses, and you can see things that I have found interesting. Again, it represents kind of a range of topics, but can be a really great way to get to know people and share what you're interested in.
Yep. Excellent. Any other questions from the group today? But we do appreciate your time and also coming to this webinar. For all the professors on this call, I will follow up with you. I would love to set something up with you and Rebekah, some content mapping services so you can start integrating this content into your courses. Remember, for your students, they can get those certifications. They can build up their LinkedIn profile. So when they are going to apply to jobs, this can really help them.
Thanks all for joining. So nice to meet you all.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, again, for joining. One thing I do want to just put in the chat box, remember, if you do want to look at our resources, it's that LinkedIn Learning page on our CAL website. If you have further questions for us, you can also email us at calhelpdesk@udc.edu. Rebekah, thank you again for this wonderful webinar. I learned so much, and I continue to learn from you. So for everyone here, thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.